It's week 6 of the LCS. I'm joined right now by Azael with coverage brought to you by Alien. We're going to talk a little bit about how things are shaping up as we get into the second half of the split. Azael, how are things shaping up as we get into the second half of the split?
Are you shaking your hair at me?
Whenever I'm next to a broadcaster, I feel like I have to act like you just do on the caster.
No one does that.
Yeah, they do.
I'd
They're
like
we're
to
getting
inform
onto the
you.
rift.
I don't think. I am actually quite confident that has never happened.
That's the thing. Riva has definitely done as we get onto the rift. that is definitely a thing that he's done.
As far as how it's shaping up,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. These games yesterday, today were so hot. Some of our teams are looking kind of bad.
Yeah, we're screwed, right?
Yeah.
That's how they're shaping up.
Well, TL still looks pretty good yesterday.
Yeah.
They had a good game, So you want to have a good team, and to be fair, Cloud9, they still won their game, and they were using a sub, right? So maybe a little bit of leeway there. I'm excited for the TSMC9 game.
But that might be a bad thing. Like, if they can win with a sub, then are they really getting real competition?
Ooh, well, Blabber's really good. Come on, man.
Okay.
He did well last split.
I mean, I'm not trying to trash talk Blabber. I'm just saying, you yourself were saying they won with a sub, so clearly they must be okay.
I just meant they didn't have as much practice, and we have Travis Gafford here, hard flaming Blabber.
Yo, fuck Blabber. No,
Whoa!
I like Blabber. But no, it's a very strange time because normally by this part of the split, you're like, okay, everyone's figuring it. It actually feels like some of these teams are worse than they were a couple weeks ago.
So maybe part of it is the patch, right? Because I do think that we're seeing a lot more carry tops. This week we haven't seen like any Scion. Urgot is dead. So that changes the way that you have to play the game. And I think teams are somewhat struggling with 9.4 in knowing how to play around a carry top. That is one thing that you would expect Cloud9 to be pretty good at, right? Because they have been kind of doing that. So I expect Cloud9 to be kind of back to form.
Isn't someday supposed to be pretty good?
Someday has not been good. Well, at least the team has not been good at working around the top. I think when you look at some of the games that they have played recently, the Jace game from last weekend really stands out, where they failed their dive with Olaf Jace. Against, I guess it was against Solo. Maybe that was 2 weeks ago. But they've, I think, had a lot of trouble actually working together as a team. And for 100 Thieves, often you're looking at individual pieces and it's all passing the eye check, and then you look at what they're doing as a team and it's just like a train that is on fire and is like crashing into a ravine, and it's like, what is happening?
Yeah. You have to be careful how yesterday got hard flamed on the 100 Thieves subreddit, so you have to be careful what you say. They're just trying to figure out their path.
I'm pretty sure that the 100 Thieves fans would not flame me for that if they watched the game today, where they had a good late game composition. They have Zach, they have Ezreal, they have Victor. Sweet, they all scaled up, and then they gave up Elder, they give up Baron. They don't fight for either of their inhibitors. It just felt like that was one of the most disappointing ends to a game I think I've ever seen. And I would honestly say that their 2 games this weekend are maybe the most disappointing pair of games I've ever seen a team put together in a weekend.
Why don't you guys ever say this on the desk? I feel like it goes to the desk
I
where
just blamed them on the cast.
Okay. I just feel like
I
everyone.
said that was so disappointing, and then I tweeted out that was so disappointing.
Yeah. You say.
He just doesn't even
No.
watch.
You say that was so disappointing.
You even watching the games?
You say that was so disappointing. I mute the audio because I don't like the commentary. But you say that was so disappointing. But then you go into my interview and you say it's like a train that's on fire and can't be stopped. The 2 most disappointing games I've ever seen the entire weekend. That's a lot different than like, well, that was disappointing.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like the Travis Gafford brand, right? Like an on-fire train, barely hanging on the rails, trying to get by.
That is, that's actually not just like career-wise. That's just my life, actually.
That just encapsulates you as a person.
Yeah, really, it's just a struggle every day. As it gets brighter here and we have to shine off your head. Yeah. Anyway, the point is, I think that part of the reason 100 Thieves had that response today and just not worrying about Dragon is because yesterday it seemed like they didn't have to worry about Dragon. Like, and that's one of my questions is Dragon even valuable at this point in time? Because the amount of times I see a team have like 4 or 5 Dragons in fucking LCS and then just like lose, or it seems ineffectual. I don't know.
So I'll give you the first 2 games yesterday. Okay. I feel like that gave Dragons a bad rap,
Yeah.
Dragons got a rough deal out of that because they were killed by some teams that were trolling a bit, Travis. But I don't think it's Dragons' fault. Okay. Cloud9 won with a bunch of Dragons. We just thought Golden Guardians won with a bunch of Dragons.
Yeah, I know. But are they less valuable than they? Because it used to be, I feel like, that if you see 5 Dragons on a team, they're unstoppable. Or is it just the LCS teams really are that bad.
I don't think that they're less effective. I think that they're really, really strong. And I don't even think that all the LCS teams are performing bad. I just think that some of the teams are good at different stages, but it just seems like the late game, especially closing out games, playing around Baron, the teams are so uncomfortable doing. So I think that is the biggest thing, and getting you the dragons doesn't auto win you the game, right? It gives you an advantage going into the mid and late game, where then you should have an edge around Baron, but you still have to set up vision, you still have to be able to get picks, you still have to be able to close out the game, and that's where it feels like teams are really struggling.
Okay, let's keep our voice down for the next question because 100 Thieves just walked past. But what would you like to see them do? Is it time to start making swaps with academy players?
I don't know. That's tough because, again, I don't think that it's necessarily an issue of individuals. It just feels like when I watch the end of that 100 Thieves game, it honestly reminds me of you're playing that game with your friends and everything's going bad, and then everyone just stops talking and you're kind of just waiting for the game to end. That's how it felt. So to me, it feels like a mental thing. It feels like maybe they need help with a sports psychologist. Maybe it's a coaching thing. I'm not sure, but it feels like you're watching a team that is not communicating. They are certainly not on the same page at a lot of different points throughout the game. So I think they need to work on almost like the out of game style side of the game more, and the mental side and the communication side, and because they still have talent. I mean, you're looking at Bang, who's an incredible player. He's won multiple world championships. Aframu was an MVP last year. Someday was considered the best top laner last year by many. These players don't suck, right? It's just they're not working as a team. And Hui even said that in their last episode of the Heist, where he's talking about he just thinks that they're like 5 individual players. He said he didn't feel like they had ever been a team so far this year.
What do you think of... okay, so we've got Cloud9, TSMTL, and kind of FlyQuest up there near the top. Who are your... Let's say those 4 make it to playoffs.
Yep.
Who are your picks for the next 2?
I think maybe Golden Guardians, CLG is probably who I would be looking at. I think that Echo Fox has really been struggling. CLG, I think CLG kind of has a formula that can kind of work, but they don't always stick to it, it feels like. And I think that we saw that the Jax game, that was actually one of the cleanest games of the day for Darshan, so if he can get another pick, that's pretty effective. Golden Guardians are now 5-3 in their last 8. Like, that's pretty solid, including a loss to TL. The one game where it was like the loss to Clutch, but that felt like a bit of an aberration because it was, just definitely losing so hard bot lane to Piglet's Aurelia. So I feel like they have been steadily improving after their 0-4 start. So those are probably the 2 teams that I'm looking at as ones I'm kind of pegging to rise in the standings.
Finally, in my interviews, I often ask pro players, like, hey, we know what it's like for you on stage, but we might not know what it's like behind the scenes with your different teammates. I'm kind of curious, what's it like behind the scenes with all the different casters and broadcasts? What's going on? Any interesting things happen recently?
Not really. I mean, we all just kind of chat about the games. We're all fans of the game, so we want to see people play well, so we complain when teams don't. We're happy when teams do, and that's about it. Yeah.
You don't have any interesting stories like Kobe ran in crazy one day, or because normally the pro players have crazy stories.
Speaking of Kobe, I thought that, well, this actually happened on Twitter, so people may have seen it, but so the other day he was on his computer and he's trying to search Pokemon, and he somehow managed to tweet out Pokemon instead of searching it. So he just tweets out Pokemon, and he goes to delete it, and we're like, no, leave it up. And I just thought that was the funniest old man moment. Yeah. Just out of touch with technology. Kobe's just...
He's getting there. I'm a little worried for him. Yeah. He's having to do a lot more stretching at home, and he's struggling, I find. So I'm a little worried about him in his old age. I remember when he was young and spry, and those days I think are past.
Has he purchased any walking shoes yet?
No, not yet. Okay. But I do think he's going to start taking some like joint juice or something soon. You know what I mean? Like
juice. Yeah. Maybe do some water aerobics classes.
Yes. It's tough to see someone you care about just age.
Such a sharp decline.
Anything you want to say to any of the LCS fans out there?
Thank you guys for coming out. I mean, it's been so rainy here, and every day I come in and it feels so miserable outside. I'm like, well, no one's going to be at LCS today, but LCS is always packed. The fans have been really hyped, so I appreciate you guys coming out and supporting the teams, the players, and the league.
No, it is, and people have seen me tweeting about this. People don't believe it. Frozen hellscape here in LA for the past month. It didn't hit 70.
I did turn on my heater during the last month.
It is a struggle. I don't know. I might have to move south. Anyway, thank you so much for the interview, Azael. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things esports right here on my YouTube channel. have you heard about the new Area 51M by Alienware? It is so cool. The commercials on the LCS, they're non-ad blockable, by the way, so I know you've seen them. They're for this new machine, the Area 51M. Just got announced at CES about a month ago. It's an upgradable notebook, and I'm not just talking about like the hard drive or the memory. You can upgrade the processor in it. You can upgrade the graphics card. Alienware really outdid themselves on this one. And, it's why I think, best in class them and best in class me here as an interviewer. That's how it all works. At least that's what I tell myself whenever it's late at night and dark. You can check out Dell.com/Travis, link in the description, and they help me out. You can help me out. That's how the world works,